Yo, check out these Pakistani dudes in Peshawar. Their skills are seriously off the charts. They built a whole elevated work platform with nothing but their bare hands. At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if they handcrafted a whole lithography machine soon. Let's take a look at how they made this elevated platform. First off, you gotta get your materials ready. Find yourself a good 5 or 6 of those free square tubes. Then, carefully measure and mark the lengths with a ruler. Now you can grab your cutting tool and get to work. Just a heads up, the freshly cut tubes might be a little rough around the edges. No worries. That's where the grinder comes in handy. Just a little polish, and they'll be smooth as butter. Next up, lay those tubes out on the ground in a nice, neat rectangle. Once you've got it laid out, make sure it lines up with the marks you made earlier. Tack weld it in a few spots to hold it in place. Think of it like giving it a first round beatdown. Now, to make sure this rectangle is solid as a rock and perfectly square, there's a little trick. Measure the diagonals. Make sure they are the same length. That way, your base frame will be super sturdy. Once you've welded the rectangle, don't forget to weld some crossbars in the middle for extra support. That's how you get a solid base frame. Now, spread out the rest of your square tubes. Grab your tape measure and carefully mark your coordinates. Use a center punch to mark the spots. Next up, grab your drill and the right size bit. Drill a hole at each of your marked spots. Nice and clean cuts. Then, cut a piece of steel pipe to the right length and put it on your workbench. Slide 3 smaller pipes onto it, and then put a square tube on top. Make sure the smaller pipes fit inside the square tube. Adjust it until it's perfect, and then weld it all together, solid as a rock. And don't forget those trapezoidal steel channels. Weld a square plate on top of each one, and you're good to go. And then weld it securely to the frame. This is the key part for installing the support legs. You'll need to install 4 of these, 1 at each corner. That way, the platform will be nice and stable. Gotta get the axle ready too. Weld 2 square tubes onto the axle. Then, carefully, weld the axle to the underside of the frame. Put the square tube support you made on the workbench. Use an axle pin to secure them. Then, use a larger round tube to weld them together. Next, install the wheel mounts. Make sure they are the kind with a swivel mechanism. That way, the platform can turn easily. Put the support frame you welded onto the main frame. Use a cotter pin to secure the end. Now you can focus on assembling the support frame. When installing the support legs, you'll need to use 4 bolts to tighten them down. That way, the support legs will be strong and reliable. After that, put the wheels on. Now the platform has its feet. Cut square tubes to the desired length. Weld them to the platform. To make guardrail supports, weld some side panels to the top and bottom of the guardrail. This will not only make it look better, but also provide some protection. Next up is the crucial power unit. Installing the oil cylinder is no joke. Just connect the oil cylinder and the special connector with a cotter pin. You need to know that this oil cylinder is what gives the platform its lifting power. Weld 2 channel steels to the bottom of the frame. Then, insert a smaller channel steel inside. Weld on a pallet frame and place a square oil tank on it. Secure it with screws. Then, put them back onto the base of the frame. Find 2 car batteries. Install them on the base frame pallet. Add hydraulic oil to the tank. Wow! This tank took 2 whole barrels. The oil pipes and controls are all installed. Time for a test drive. Let's try the lifting function. Wow, it slides up and down so smoothly. Let's get a couple of people up there. The stress test is also perfect. Finally, let's test the wheel steering. Turning left and right is flexible and free. No problem. Finally, give it a beautiful coat of paint. A brand new elevated platform is completed. How about it? Doesn't it feel like it's not that difficult? If you give it a try, you might be able to make one too.